today. Hope you're fine and well. Happy Friday to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Are we good? Mm. Oh, thank you, thank you. Welcome to those of you who just joined the live. Yes. hmm So, yes, today is officially what? 11th of July. My goodness, in just a blink of an eye, we're almost halfway through the month of July. And so I think you're all already at, full speed in your revisions. So we are also here alongside your efforts. I want to help you with your preparations as well. That's why I am live today. Welcome to all of you. Yes. So for today, a few things I'd like to share. We will once again do another round of paper two revision. Let's touch on editing, comprehension, close, and synthesis and transformation this time. And at the same time, I will also be securing the other half of the lesson by going through some PSLE and, commonly tested oral questions with all of you so that you grow your content knowledge on these things. Let's discuss it together. We will have to brainstorm together on what important points can you actually mention when you are dealing with these kind of oral questions, applicable to our O-level students as well. Now, let's kind of move on to, okay, waiting for a few more people. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, while waiting for the rest to arrive, do know that we are currently running a regular program promotion here at Bright as Work. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you sign up for 12 lessons, you get 2 lessons for free. We are offering this promotion at the moment because we know that you are really finding the best way possible for you to do a strategic revision before your end of year examinations or even your national exams, PSLE and O level. And so we are giving you that opportunity to join us for our regular programs here in Radis of Work, pure composition writing program for upper primary, and comprehensive English programs for all primary and secondary levels. You'll be with an experienced Radis of Work teacher who will walk you through the most important examination strategies for English and for comprehensive program strategies across paper 1, paper 2, and paper 4. Hello, Eisen. Welcome back to you. And for pure composition writing program for upper primary, you will definitely get the chance to not just master our story banking technique here in Writer's Work, but you'll also learn the techniques to make sure you make the most of your examination time, understand your compo question, and then give the best composition to answer that question. Okay? Welcome to those of you who just joined. Hi, hi, hi. So yes, this promotion is ongoing, 12 plus 2. Sign up for 12, get 2 free lessons. This is over $400 of savings, I tell you. And our Writers of Work teacher will be happy to have you in our classes. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. You can see the photo right here. Like that. Yes, very strong. Final lap. You would see that, right? Last lap. Okay, so for today, we have a couple of welcome to those of you. Hi. A good thing I remember my water today. So let's do a couple of paper 2 questions today, no? Let's see. Which paper in English exam is low-hanging fruit? Eisen, before I give you an answer, what do you think? Give me, I wanted to hear your idea. I want to give your idea before I tell you what my take is. What for your case? Paper English exam, low hanging fruit. Okay, Eisen, any specific paper you yourself find easy? Okay. Now, Eisen, I will tell you my ideas when it comes to low hanging fruits, the easiest parts, like the easiest parts that you can easily achieve full marks in. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
So let's say we talk about all four papers, right? Paper one is your situational writing and composition writing. Now, I am a firm believer here at Writers of Word, and we are, what do you call this? We are a proof of it that full marks is possible, both for situational writing and continuous writing. We've had students who've gotten full marks for composition writing as well. Now, which one is a low hanging fruit? It depends, low hanging fruit will depend on your current English ability, right? So, for example, I would say situational writing is definitely like situational writing is only 14 marks, right? And then 36 marks for composition writing. Situational writing is a low hanging fruit mostly because you are not being tested on creativity in situational writing. You don't need to give flowery words, superfluous lines and phrases to get the full marks for situational writing. Situational writing, you can get a full marks for that as long as you are able to achieve the task fulfillment being given to you from the question page. Okay, so that's why paper one wise, I really find that a low hanging fruit. Mhm. Number two, let's talk about paper two, paper three, and paper four. Paper four, I would say, is it's a touchy one because some students will say like, sure, I find it easy, mostly because of your ability, all of your ability. Some of you like, oh, I don't like talking, sure, so I feel really bad with paper four and so on. If I break down paper four into reading aloud and stimulus based conversation, reading aloud is a giveaway. That one you can easily perfect that. Okay. Um, if we move on to paper two, which ones are low hanging fruits? I would say the moment I would understand that some of you will really find Compre Close and Compre OE very hard, but all your MCQs are all low hanging fruits as long as you're able to identify, especially grammar, synthesis and transformation, grammar close. Those ones, the moment you understand the commonly tested questions, right? Then you can actually start seeing patterns and you can get those numbers correctly every single time. Mm-hmm. So, I because I cannot, paper two is a huge one. It's almost half of your grade, but there are sections in paper two that you can easily perfect. The ones I would definitely say is the moment you know what are commonly tested SMT questions, what are commonly tested grammar questions, right? Grammar close, right? Those are ones that you can easily perfect your scores in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, good question, Eisen. All right. For today, let's go through a couple of editing. Editing, I would also say comprehension close and SNT, depending on how much time we get. But we try our best to cover as many as we can, okay? So that you get to practice as well. Now, let's try this editing section first. Let's start with an easy one, I would say. Easy one to get you started, get the gears rolling, get the wheels rolling. Let's see. Now, let's talk about this. Remember, let's learn to correct the right error. It's both spelling and grammatical error. You're being tested on both for editing. Let's try. Okay, now, um, do you believe in unidentified flying objects? UFOs. Recently, a housewife had captured amazing footage of an enormous UFO on her video while gardening. Okay, enormous. This is hello, Boo. Welcome. Boo, your yes is like your answer. You believe in UFOs as well, is it? Okay, I think you may have seen that the problem here is a spelling error. Enormous. Boo, what is ginormous? Firstly, I know you're making a joke out of this word, but remember when you correct the words, stick to the sound because normally they give you the wrong spelling, but the wrong spelling they give you is still much closer to the correct sound of the word. Enormous, very good, Eisen, that's correct. Enor, I think you can see that they missed out the letter R. Enormous. Okay. So, captured amazing footage of an enormous UFO on her video while gardening. Okay. An unbeliever of UFOs, Mrs. Tams, or Thames, I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, has maintained that the UFO hovered near her house. Okay. Has maintained. Okay. Spelling of the word maintained, and be careful, there's a commonly, you are at risk of committing a commonly committed error for this number. Be mindful of your answer. What do you think? How do we spell the word maintain? Anyone else wants to also give it a try? Thank you, Eisen, and welcome to those of you who just joined. Oh, Rizwana is here. Hello. Is this P6? Weirdo, hello. I'm going through end of year paper at the moment, P5, P6. This one, I'm starting off with a P5 now. I'm also going through a P6 oral discussion after the paper 2 practice. Okay. Rizwana, welcome back. Welcome to you, weirdo. Okay, maintained. Eisen, your spelling of maintained. I am also happy that you kept it past tense. Okay. Keep the word form, especially when you're only correcting spelling error. If you're given a past tense wrong spelling, give a past tense correct spelling. Okay. So main, like that. And then tamed. Well done. So maintained here is like, it kind of means like she asserted. Okay. Like, I'm sure of what I saw. Okay. I even have a video like that. Okay. So she maintained that the UFO hovered near her house for an hour. So obviously there's only one letter here. So this cannot be a wrong spelling. It's a grammatical error. Wrong choice of article. What's the right article to use for number 41, ladies and gentlemen? 41. Okay, Eisen, and, okay, hour. Okay, very good, that's correct. Okay, just one quick clarification on this, especially for those of you who get so confused. Some of you are some of you always think like, oh, sure, you use a for when it's followed by consonant. The next word starts with a consonant, and then an when it's a vowel. But this can't be correct because H is a consonant. How come we use an? Okay, what a lot of students are missing out, okay, consonant sound. It has to be the sound and not exactly just the letter. Because when you pronounce our, the beginning sound does not actually pronounces the H. Okay? Because if it pronounces the H, it has to sound like hour, but not, right? You say hour. Okay? That's why you say an hour, but you say a house. Because when you pronounce house, you actually pronounce the consonant sound H. So sound-wise, it does start with a consonant. A house, but an hour. But both of them starts with letter H in spelling. It's just that their sound, the beginning sound, one uses H, one doesn't. Okay, so be careful. Yeah. Can I say 1 hour? Of course you can say 1 hour, Gargu. I think the confusion only goes when students get so confused like or an. The main thing is really the beginning sound. If it sounds, the sound starts with a vowel or the sound starts with a consonant. Okay? Now, she estimated it was at least 1 kilometer wide. Wow. She estimated it was at least 1 kilometer wide. Both she and her husband describing the object as a pink and white. Okay? Both she and her husband describing the object. Obviously, so the answer 1 is accepted. Oh, no, Gargu. You say, you mean to say, I thought you were asking me, can you answer 1 in the question? I mean, generally you can say 1 hour, but in the question you cannot say 1. You know why? Because you're not being tested on vocabulary in the editing section. You are tested on grammar, okay? So see, if the word they give you is and you give a completely different word 1, then it's still wrong because you're supposed to correct the grammatical error. The grammatical error is that they're using the wrong article. So that's why I always tell my students, when you are answering an editing question, do not give a completely different word. What you are trying to do is like the correct word is just like a family member of the wrong word. Okay? So keep in mind, Gargu, you are correcting a grammatical error, not a vocabulary error. So when you suddenly put 1 there, even when the wrong word is you are kind of like saying, oh, that's the wrong word to use. It should be another word. But that's the wrong grammatical article to use. So it's the same thing, for example, gargle. For example, the wrong word is that, right? The possible words can only be those, all right? These, like this, correct? It cannot be that from that you give a correct answer with like she or like girl. It cannot be. You're changing the word at altogether, right? So that's what I mean when I say correct the grammatical error, not the word. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are we clear on that, Gargu? Hello, Mian Bao. Welcome to you. Mm-hmm. Like an estranged, twice reminded cousin. I like how you're explaining it, Mian Bao. Okay. Yes. Now, let's move on. She estimated it was at least 1 kilometer wide. Both she and her husband describing the object. Um, Describing is obviously correctly spelled, so this is a grammatical error. What do you think is the right word for 42? Give it a try, everyone. Welcome to the live. Hi. And welcome to the live, Nito Buendia. Okay, anyone who wants to give number 42 a try. This one is easy. Thank you for liking the live, boo. Describing. Eisen, you're giving me the same word. Eisen, you're giving me the same word. So it has to be, this is not a spelling error, yeah? So this is, to give you a clue, this is a tense. Oh, thank you for the gift, Boo. Very good. Described. Okay. Described. Past tense. Okay. They describe the object as pink and white in orange and blue lights. Well, can you imagine what they saw? They say pink and white and then orange and blue light. Interesting. Okay. Pink and white. Okay, the wrong word is actually this one, the word in. So, what is the right? Same thing. Tripping. Same thing. What is the right preposition to use here? Number 43 is a grammatical error. What do you think is the right preposition to use? Object as pink and white, do you say in orange and blue lights, or on orange and blue lights, or along orange and blue lights, or through orange and blue lights? What do you think? We are in number 43 now, to those of you who just joined. Let's go, people. Try. I'll probably give you around 10 seconds. Let's see. Anyone? This was an easy one, no? Okay. Okay. Now, since none of you is typing it, we have to say under hello, Kopi Belalang. I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you for trying. It should be, because we're describing it right. And then we're describing first the color, first the color and then the lights. Okay, so Ryan, that would be more accurate, correct, with orange and blue lights. Now, it had a dark center and beamed pulses of intense light. Okay, this should be easy. How do you spell intense? Okay, this is a spelling error. Intense light. Okay, intense, just like me. Okay, that is correct, Boo. That's how you spell intense indeed. Yes. The uncommon sighting flew just 2 kilometers above their home before blasted away into the night sky. Okay, before what? Blasted here is correct, so this is a grammatical error, wrong word form. What do you think is the right word form here, ladies and gentlemen? We are doing number 45. I am you. I like the I like the handle. Blasting, correct. Boo. What do you mean blastoise?
We're not talking about Pokemons here. Okay, blasting aspect. Aspect, hello. It's been so long. Welcome back to you. Before blasting, correct. Now, blasting into the night sky on an incredible speed. Okay. Obviously, on is the wrong preposition here. Rizwana is going for in. Anyone who wants to try the preposition for number 46 as well, is the an aspect. All right, correct. It has to be at an incredible speed. But I'll explain something on that, Rizwana. So when you do, hold on, I'm trying to rearrange my whole setup. Give me a moment. Like so many screens all around me. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Now, Rizwana, just a quick explanation on this, because at usually you use this for when you want to talk about specific point or rate. Okay. Specific point or rate. Okay. In context, most especially in what context do we use this? Speed, rate, or frequency. Now, on the other hand, the use of on, right? On is like indicates location or positioning most of the time. So that's why we say at an incredible speed. Okay. Now, they were so excited that within the next hour, they had a dozen relatives and friends over to view the footage captured. Now, pretty obviously, your biggest keyword here is the word to. When you use to and then you follow it with a verb, what is the form of the verb after to? It's a grammatical error. Do you guys know? You on, I on. Aspect goes for view, correct? Because it's to plus base form, right? That's why you say to sing, to dance, to act. Okay, you don't say to acted or to spoken, right? So you go back to the base form to view. Okay. Now all who saw it were awestruck. Okay, give number. Oh, boo, that was quick. Okay. Awestruck. Now, obviously, this is the wrong spelling. I'm going to change the color very quickly. It's too red now. What does it mean when you're awestruck? Okay, awe from the word, oh my God, I looked at it in awe. Like that, awestruck. So when you are awestruck, that means to say you are amazed, correct? So they called in their relatives, like, oh my God, we saw this. And then they showed them the video. Okay, and then they were all, wow. So the footage was later handed to the space experts, okay? Despite a detailed study being conducted on the video footage, the experts could not explain the strange occurrence. Very interesting. How to spell occurrence, everyone? This is the noun for the word occur, to happen, correct? Yes, welcome to those of you who just joined. Okay, Wu gave a spelling. Anyone else who wants to also give this one a try? So I think there's I always try to reverse engineer the way they create examination questions, and especially for editing and spelling errors. They like to give spellings to, especially that sometimes the common confusion is like whether I should be giving a double of this letter or just one letter, or do I double it in this spelling? That's the confusion they like to give. Okay, Shizu, Bu, and aspect, all of you spelled occurrence with double C and double R. You are all correct. Very good. Okay, you start with the word occur because, and then that's the root word, right? And then you add the suffix. Okay, occurrence. Good job. Mississippi. Okay, now they suspected that the sighting was similar to the one captured by their own cameras during a space shuttle mission. Okay, similar. Okay, how do you spell similar?
I mind you, I know this is a very common word they probably always use even in our daily conversations, but it is still misspelled by quite a lot of students. Is there a live next week? Yes, Rizwana, we do have live every week. They may vary in time in terms of timing, but we try our best to have a live session every weekday. Okay, similar. Rizwana, just one extra letter that I needed to cancel in that spelling. Shizu, that is correct. Okay, SIMILAR. Okay, thank you. Now, captured by the own camera. So today, the existence of UFO still remains a mystery. Very interesting. Before we move on to our next one, do you guys believe in UFOs? I'm interested to know. Okay. Now, are you all strong enough to go for comprehension close? Are your brains ready for compre close? Welcome to those of you who just joined the live. All right, Shizu is ready. Okay, we're good. We're ready to go. Okay, now today this is our topic for compre close. Oh, thank you for following us, Shizu. Welcome officially to the Writers of Work TikTok community. Now, very quickly, when you have finally arrived at your comprehension close section, breeze through the passage quickly to know the big topic. It's important that you know what the whole passage is talking about before you attempt to answer, so that your brain is ready to, it's easier to connect and discover contextual clue if your brain is aware what the whole passage is talking about. Connections between clues are easy, and vocabulary, your brain is preparing the vocabulary fit for that topic. So what do you think is a big topic here? Sometimes you are actually lucky because even if you just read the first paragraph, you will know what the big topic is. Sometimes it's not as straightforward. So briefly, just go through very quickly the passage, very quick, to know what it's talking about. So what's the big topic here? I think you can see it at the very beginning itself. We're talking about scuba diving. Right? So you're all familiar what scuba diving is. Let's learn and then complete this passage. Now, scuba diving is fast becoming a very popular and adventurous water sport. The number of people taking up this blank has increased tremendously. Taking up this what? Okay. You have a clue in the previous sentence. That's my first thing. You have a clue in the previous sentence. That's the first thing. So, Boo, there is a better and more specific word to use. Okay, Shizu, you are right. Okay, so the number of people taking up this sport. Okay, sorry for my handwriting. Has increased tremendously ever since it was blank in Singapore. It was blank in Singapore by the Sports Association. It was what? It pairs with the word in. I thought it should be better to paraphrase. No, so Boo, instead of using the same word back then. Okay, Boo, good thing to raise. That's a good thing to raise. So a lot of the writers, when they write this whole passage or this whole article, right, they do try their best not to repeat the same word. Nonetheless, first things first, sports and activity number one is not an equal, are not synonymous words. So even if we were to consider a different word here, activity is still not a better replacement of the word sport. Number two, it's not a very complete repetition, mostly because in the previous sentence, the author specified water sport. And then the next sentence, just talk about it as a generic sport. So it's still in that sense acceptable to repeat the word sport. Mostly because the previous one was more specific and the next one was more generic. Yeah. Songwei Jun. Okay, introduced. Very good. Introduced in Singapore by the Sports Association. Well done. Okay. The term scuba, blank for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Okay.
Now, this is a contextual clue. If use activity, will we be wrong? S and Z. I would assume if they mark this, you may be marked wrongly. Because if they accept this, right, they will have to accept a lot of generic words. Okay? Sometimes when they prepare for answer keys, there are specific numbers where they actually accept more than one answer. However, most of the time, when there is more than one possible answer, these words are extremely, extremely synonymous. Or otherwise, this word fits perfectly in the sentence and in the context. Nonetheless, for this case, I would still mark you wrong if you put activity instead of sport. Yeah. Now, you have a contextual clue here. They gave you the exact meaning of every single letter. So, um, it also pairs with the word for. So if they gave you the meaning of every single letter, you say stands for, because it's like an acronym, right? You are right. It stands for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Okay, good job. In scuba diving, divers carry air tanks on their blank when they go underwater. Where have you seen anyone scuba diving, everyone? The typical way that they bring their air tanks, where do you think are these? Like, these are like the cylinder. Okay, they have this cylinder that bears the air. Where do you think the cylinder is? He stay. Eisen, is it like very good? Typically, those who go scuba diving and brings only one tank, it's usually on their backs. And I need a plural here because it's there. So if it's many people, then we say backs instead of back. Okay. So typically it's on their back, especially like the normal ones who bring one tank. Do note, however, actually everyone, that some people actually dive with two tanks. And sometimes they put it on their sides. Put it on their sides. I've seen one who did that. But typically, you bring one tank, you put it on your back. Okay. Now, moving on. Before scuba diving, blank invented people. Huh? This printing is like. Before scuba diving, blank invented. This is a comma. People dived with a heavy helmet that had an air tube attached to it. Okay. Now you have the word before, and scuba diving is a singular activity in this sentence. So before, okay, so that gives you the clue. We did singular and past tense. So that's was invented. People dived with a heavy helmet that had air tube attached to it. Air was usually pumped from a boat at the surface, blank the diver below. Now, you have one very easy clue in number 56. So metalhead, since you're the first one who answered number 56, what is the word in this same sentence serve as your biggest clue to the right answer in number 56? What's the biggest clue? There's one word in the same sentence that was your best clue to give you the right answer to number 56 in the blank. From, very good, metalhead. You answered the question very correctly. Who's the BFF of from? BFF. From a boat at the surface to the diver below. Correct? Look out for these things, BFFs, because they're actually very useful in compreclose. So between this and that. So the partner of between is and, right? From this to that. So it's from and to all together, between and end all together, like that. Okay? Now, moving on. Scuba diving is a very good and healthy blank of exercise. Blank of exercise. So it's collocation. You put it together with these two other words. Metalhead goes for form. Anyone else who wants to give this number a try? Type it in. Maybe let's give you about 10 more seconds. Let's go, people. So scuba diving is a very good and healthy
Oh, thank you for sharing the live, Noisy Fam. Okay. Example of exercise, form of exercise. Okay. I would say the better word to use instead of like form is type. Singa the lion. This is a more accurate word to use in this sense. Also, because it's singular, we don't say types, right? It's a healthy type of exercise. Okay, be careful of that. Now, there are many advantages in this sport. Firstly, divers learn to control blank breathing. Okay, this one is easy. Eisen is already in that number. I would assume Eisen. That's your answer for that number. Okay. Now, divers, it's plural. Okay. So they learn to control and they're human. So it has to be their M instead of its because its would mean singular and object. Okay, so diver is humans in plural. So they're breathing. Okay, now which helps in their blood circulation. Secondly, the air they breathe is blank cleaner than the normal air they breathe on land. Is what cleaner than? Okay, these two are your clues. You are doing a comparison. Okay. Now, much cleaner, way cleaner. Okay. Much cleaner. I will accept way cleaner than the normal air they breathe on land. Okay, good job. The air in the tank is filtered before it is pumped into the air tank. Thirdly, divers become weightless when they are submerged in the blank. Submerged where? Obviously, they dive where? This one is pretty obvious. Very intense contextual clue. When submerged in the water. Very good. Oh, this is pretty interesting. I think this is my most favorite part about scuba diving because I have a open water certificate. When you are diving underwater, it feels like the movement is 3D, as in normally as in on land you move forward and backward, right? But when you're underwater, you move forward, backward, up and down. So it's kind of pretty cool. It's the closest thing I would say I've had with the feeling of like flying. Yeah, and like three-dimensional movement. It's pretty cool. Now, submerged in the water, this takes away the weights from the legs. Divers would feel that they are floating in the air. Can you speak Chinese, by the way? No, I don't. Similarly, it is necessary for astronauts to be trained underwater to experience being weightless. Blank their space mission begins. Space missions begin. Okay. Now we are now, oh, Metalhead is way ahead of everyone. That was very, very, very fast. And you are actually M as well. Thank you. You're all understanding. It's hard to say that. It's hard to get the correct answer for this one. If it's because some students they take Compre Close section by section as if there's the, but when you see the connection between the sentences, it's very easy for you to kind of like figure out the right word. And that's exactly the reason why I tell my students know the big topic before even starting to answer, because knowing what the passage is talking about makes really easy connections afterwards. Okay. Next, divers cannot help blank notice the amount of space around them when they are underwater. Cannot help blank. This one is a collocation. When I say collocation clue, that means to say these words always go together when they are contextually used. Something that is too obvious or conspicuous. When it's too obvious, how do you say it? Right? Cannot help, but very good. Notice the amount of space around them when they are underwater. This is especially so in densely populated Singapore, where buildings blank built so close to one another due to limited land space. Okay. Buildings blank built so close. Buildings, user, okay, user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Too many numbers for me to read. Now, buildings number 1 is plural. Okay. And now, if you see the sentence here, it's in present tense, correct? So, we are to say are. Okay. Lastly, the only sound that divers would hear underwater is their own breathing. In our daily lives, there is a lot of blank we hear that may distract us. Okay, this is a very easy contextual clue. The contextual clue is they're giving you examples: people talking, telephones ringing, the sound of moving vehicles. So, contextual clue here is that you're given an example. Okay, so what do you think are these? These things count as very good. User 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are noise. There is a lot of noise. There is a lot of noise that we hear. Now, I will only accept the word noise because the examples are very specific to not just talk about sound, but actually noise. Okay, and then sound is subsequently being talked about in the sentence. Moving the sound from the televisions and radios, okay, etc. Okay, as a result, divers enjoy the quietness when they go underwater. That's why the beauty of scuba diving sometimes is that time flies there underwater because people really normally enjoy doing it underwater. Okay, people who do not dive would miss 3 blank of the world because only 1/4 of the world is not covered with water. You know, right? A huge part of the earth is actually water. Now, would miss 3 blank of the world because only 1/4. So basically, your clue is exactly in the very same sentence. This is your clue. 3 what? I've underlined the clue for you. It's just screaming right there at your face. 3 3/3 Aizen. No. Give it a try, but you're in the right track. You're thinking about it in the right way. Just looking for the right word. 3/4. You need to put the S there, right? Because it's 3. So we say 3/4 of the world. Now, scuba diving is indeed a healthy sport that all should experience at least once in a lifetime. Okay. I would say, not the cheapest sport, but something you would definitely want to try. Now, are you all ready to do some synthesis and transformation? I'll give you a quick break by giving you one quick announcement. To those of you who wants to do a very strategic, effective exam preparations in the upcoming weeks, feel free to join us here at Writers at Work. We are currently running a promotion that if you sign up for 12 lessons, you get 2 extra lessons for free. This promotion is available up until the end of August only. So more strategic revision, more structured learning of English. Join us here in Writers at Work. We have pure composition writing programs, and we also have comprehensive English programs if you want to practice across paper 1, paper 2, and paper 4. Okay, so welcome. Do you have O-level English? Yes, M. We do have English classes from primary all the way to secondary. So secondary, we have comprehensive English programs. Same thing. We will be covering throughout the year. We will be covering practices from paper 1 to paper 2 and then paper 4 oral. So yes, that's the answer to your question. Now, everyone, let's move on to S&T questions. I am including this today, of course, because some of you also wants to specifically practice on this section as well. Okay, now Adam is a regular blood donor. His sisters are regular blood donors too. So this one very easy. This one should be quick for you to type in. Connect these 2 sentences using as well as. Okay, let's give it a try. But one thing I would like to give you a reminder of is be careful with subject-verb agreement. That's just one important reminder.
Adam as well as his sisters are regular blood donors. Thank you, Yaya Papaya. Thank you, M. Now, um, this is exactly what I'm telling you when I say be careful of subject-verb agreements, because you are correct. So you start with Adam as well as his sisters. Now the question is, do we use is or are? Now, it should be is. Okay. Regular blood donor. If you look at the sentence, the main subject here is Adam. This is an extra information. This is not the main subject. The main subject is Adam. Therefore, we say is a regular donor. Now, sure, how do I know this? So, sure, how do I know this? How do I know if it's an extra information? One thing is, perhaps you can look out for the double commas, but the double commas will not be there all the time. What you can think about are keywords like as well as, including, together with, except for, you know? So these things will be introducing extra information, but they're not technically the main subject, okay? So be slightly mindful of that. Okay, let's move on to number 67. If you do not take a taxi to school, you will not be able to get there on time. Now, you need to put this together using unless. So be careful. Unless functions like except if, right? But you are highlighting the negative, the negative condition. So let's give this one a try, please. Let's go. Unless you take a taxi to school, you will not be able to get there on time. I see. Can I get one or two more people to share the answer? I want to see if you're all the same answer as Yaya Papaya, or you have a different take on the question. Welcome to those of you who just joined the live, by the way. Please remember to follow us if you have not yet. Okay, everyone, let's go. Let's go, let's go. Okay, Yaya Papaya. Okay, Aizen gave an answer. Okay, unless you take a taxi, you will not be able. Unless you take a very good. All of you are correct. Okay, unless you take a taxi to school, you will not be able. Will not be able to go there on time. Be very careful. One reminder for unless, one reminder for the word unless. Sometimes some students get so confused the way like, oh, where do I put the not? Do I put not? Be careful when you do unless. Be careful with double negatives. You cannot be, both phrases are in negative form. Okay. Now number 68. Let's go, people. John dislikes eating salad. His brother dislikes eating salad too. So you have not the BFFs, neither and nor. Again, when the neither and nor are there, be careful with subject verb agreement. Careful. Sorry, it's supposed to be get. I'm sorry, Gargu. Thank you for raising that up. To get there on time. Okay. Now, give this one a try. Commonly tested question. Neither John nor his brothers likes eating salad. I see. 10 more seconds for the rest of you to give this one a try. Let's go. Let's go. Type it in. Now, I'll be teaching you and I'll be highlighting the importance of how do you remember subject verb agreement when the partners are inside the sentence. When I say BFFs or partners, it's neither nor. And in the same case, either or. Yabba dabba doo. Ethanol production. Okay, now let's go through Yaya Papaya's answer. If I don't see any. Neither John nor his brothers like eating salad. Okay, so Yaya Papaya, you changed your mind and turn it into I see. Okay, Yaya Papaya, congratulations. Very good on reconsidering. So neither John nor his brothers. And so the confusion starts like, sure, am I supposed to use singular or plural? So remember, when you have neither nor and either or, keep in mind, remember this because this question can come out in your grammar MCQ as well. You look at the closest subject to the blank. So the closest one is brothers, okay? So you say like. That's why we usually call this the proximity rule. When either or and neither nor is there, look at the closest subject to the blank. Use that as your reference for subject verb agreement. Okay? So we say neither John nor his brothers like eating salad. Therefore, for example, let's say we change it. Let's say neither his brothers nor John. Now, because John is the one closer, then you say likes. Okay? So it really just depends on what's closer to the verb. Okay? Now let's move on to number 69, everyone. Jane opened the parcel left outside the house. She was curious. Okay? This one is a type of commonly tested S&T question wherein you'll be tested on your skills in converting word form. Okay, yeah, Papaya goes for it was with curiosity that Jane opened the parcel left outside. Anyone wants to try and agree or change Papaya's answer? 10 seconds, please. Let's go. Welcome to those of you who has just joined the live. The house, I see. I know. Outside the house. Thank you for making sure you don't drop any information because otherwise you would not get the marks at all. Okay. Now, Yaya Papaya, I think you see it, right? So you turned. Okay, Gargo goes. It was with curiosity that the parcel left outside the house was opened by Jane. Okay, Gargo. Now, the first part is correct. So you turned curious, an adjective, into a noun, which is curiosity. Okay, it was with curiosity. And thank you both for spelling curiosity correctly as well. Commonly misspelled word. That. Now, what happened here, Gargu, is it's just the next phrase that is wrong because you rephrased it when you shouldn't have to. You basically did active to passive voice when you don't actually have to. So you can basically just say it was with curiosity that Jane opened the parcel left outside the house. Okay. Now, you cannot do that active to passive voice change, Gargu, because it has to start with a subject. The sentence, the next phrase has to start with a subject, the doer of the action. That's why it has to start with Jane. But good job on getting the first part correct as well. All right, last question, everyone, for synthesis and transformation. I like this set of S&T questions being tested on very crucial things. Now, did you hand in the consent form yesterday? Okay, we end with one of the most commonly tested S&T questions, direct speech to reported speech. Okay, now, let's see this one. Be careful with tense. Okay, move one tense backward, remember. Then change the rest as well. If there's time, update the time. If there's pronouns have to be updated as well. Okay, give this one a try. Let's go, people. Okay, yeah, Papaya goes. Mr. Tan asked if he had handed in the consent form the previous day. Hello, Burr. Mr. Tan asked him if he had handed in the consent form the previous day. Okay, both of you have the same answer. Okay, 5 more seconds. Let's see if anyone else wants to try to answer as well. Okay, good job. Gargu goes, Mr. Tan asked, did you hand in the consent form from yesterday? Okay, Gargu, you're being tested on direct speech to reported speech here, so you cannot reuse the dialogue. What they're trying to ask you here is, if you are to report the dialogue to someone else coming from you, how would you convert the dialogue? Okay, so Burr and Yaya Papaya, you are correct. Okay, so Gargu, imagine this, Gargu. So let's say this is Mr. Tan, right? Mr. Tan. And then this is Tim. So the dialogue was said by Mr. Tan. Mr. Tan went on to say, "Did you hand in the consent form yesterday?" Now, turning this into reported speech would be you. How would you report what Mr. Tan said to someone else? So it's like if you heard what Mr. Tan said and you were to say his dialogue to someone else, how would you report it? Okay, so this is how it should be done. Now, did you hand? This is past tense. So we do remember the rule: past tense go to past perfect. That means to say had, right? That's past participle. So asked Tim if it's a question, so we say if he had handed in, okay, the consent form. And then yesterday has to be updated as well. When there's tense, time, pronouns, and proximity, all of them have to be updated. Yesterday will become the previous day. Good job. All right. Well done. Well done. You have just finished all your 5 S&T questions. Good job, people. Now, what I'm going to do now is let's proceed to our PSLE oral revision. Okay. I will be tackling a few questions under one same commonly tested theme today. Try to guess. Our theme starts with letter E. It starts with letter E. It starts with letter E. It's a commonly tested theme. Who wants to give it a try? The day before can. Hello, Ali G. One thing I can tell you is they no longer accept that. At least when they mark the examinations, I would tell you use the day before. Use the previous day, use the previous week. They no longer accept the day before. Okay? Now, so be mindful of that. Let's proceed to do very important discussion on paper 4 to help you improve on your oral, since this is the one that's really upcoming, right? Both for O levels and PSLE. So everyone, today, no one wants to give this one a try. Today, let's talk about environmental conservation. This one is commonly tested, primary, secondary. It's a topic that you'll have to make sure you build your content knowledge on, because this is commonly tested. It's an evergreen one. When I say evergreen, because we live on Earth, right? And this topic will always have its own update. Every single year, things may change in the way we see environment, in the way we deal with the environment, and the problems that it currently has. So you have to continue updating your knowledge on it and be ready to be asked questions about it. Now, let's tackle a few questions. What I need you to do is, once I show you the question, give me a few key points that you think, what key points would you like to answer if you are to be asked that question, so that all of us learn on what different angles can you actually tackle this question with, correct? Okay, let's give this a try, huh? So, let's start with this one. Describe how you reduce waste at home. Okay, now, make sure you really unpack the question. Reduce waste, it means to say, as human beings, we will always be producing waste, okay? But it has become so hard for countries to actually manage the amount of waste the entire country produces. So, and hard to manage, meaning the wastes, like where to put the waste, how to deal with it, because waste have their own effects on the environment. So on your own part, how do you reduce waste so you don't contribute to that even bigger problem? Now, Burr. Okay, I have a first word here, upcycling. Okay, Burr, I will accept that. Can you explain to me what upcycling is? Because people might be wondering, oh, big word. Why can't I say just recycling? How different is recycling from upcycling? Okay. Are you able to give a quick differentiation of upcycling and recycling? They are both waste management methods, but how are they different from each other? Reduce human race. What do you mean? Why? User what a dark answer. Which year was this question? Hi, Felicia. Felicia, I'm not going through past year's question. I'm going through specific possible questions based on themes. So I am touching on environment today. Okay. Repurposing materials in a creative way. Birth, thank you for explaining that. What about 3R? Okay, since we are already in this topic, let's talk about the 3Rs. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? Upcycling, just to quickly clarify, this is a good word to learn now. Upcycling is when you are correct, Burr. You reuse items using their existing form, and then what you do is like you you create it, okay? You creatively reuse an item, and then in a product of higher value. That's why it's called up. You turned it in its existing form, you turned it into something of higher value. Okay. Now, for example, um, what example of upcycling can you perhaps use? Mhm. By moving out. Okay, for example, let's say I would say old tires, right? So I don't cut the tire, I don't reshape the tire. I use the tire as it is in its existing form, but I, for example, turn it into a furniture. So the thing about upcycling, how different is it from recycling? Because when you recycle, you may actually break down the item into its raw form and then um, change it into something else. Okay, that could be it. So old tires into furniture, but without really breaking the old tire altogether. Now, I turn off the swimming pool fountain when I'm not swimming. I see. Okay, that's another response. Okay, let's break it down very quickly. First, one of you mentioned the 3Rs, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay. Now, this is already a good thing to say, okay, especially when it comes to environment. You can immediately drop 3Rs, but one thing I would like to explain to you. A lot of students can say, oh, I'm going to do the 3Rs. But here comes the catch. Way too many of the students are not able to detail that out properly. Some of you may not be even aware of the difference between these 3Rs. Okay, so now what you need to do is so that whenever you give 3Rs, how do you strengthen that point when you say that? So you can basically go and say, oh, at home I observe and make sure I do the 3Rs. Full stop. You're not getting your full marks in that. Okay, so that you can showcase your knowledge of the differences of these 3Rs, know the difference, and then give specific examples about it. Okay, so reduce waste at home. Make sure you keep to the question, huh? You use 3Rs to reduce waste. Okay, now reduce basically is you make sure you don't have a lot of that waste. So for example, to reduce waste would mean to say if you are grocery list, meal plan, how is this reducing? So for me, if I say if I reduce waste, that means to say the waste that you have is lesser. How do I lessen my food waste, for example? I reduce waste. I make sure we don't throw a lot of extra food by encouraging the family to create a meal plan. When you know what to eat, what meal to eat on specific times of the day, you only buy what you need. When you never plan what to eat, you just buy anyhow. And that's when you always end up having extra food that eventually expired without even getting the chance to use it, right? So that's reducing. You are doing things so as not to produce too much food waste, okay? There could be a loss of other ways. I'm just giving you a specific example so you understand. Now, reuse. Reuse could be from the word itself, you use it again, okay? So the most beautiful example that you can do is plastic bags. So like, oh, you went grocery shopping, so you have so many plastic bags, right? One thing, by the way, instead of using all the plastic bags from the supermarket, bring your own reusable bags. If you have a lot of plastic bags, for example, reuse it. So for example, instead of throwing the plastic after grocery, you keep the plastics and you reuse it for what? I reuse it by using it as a trash bin. as my trash. I bring it to my room when I'm studying, and then I have crumpled papers. I use the plastic again to serve as like my container of trash. Okay, plastic bags. Okay, now recycle is when you take something and then you you use it for a different purpose. So for example, you turn a I want to reduce waste. So now I have a plastic bottle, plastic water bottle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this. I cut the top, I design it, I color it, I turned it into like a pencil holder. That's recycling. Okay, you disintegrated it, and that's how different it is from upcycling, right? You disintegrated the actual existing form and designed it, and then use it for a different purpose, different from its intended purpose on its original form. Okay, for this question, must actions be within the household? Okay, hello Burr, good question. Like, would it be accepted if I talk about recycling clothes in the club textile bins that are around? Ah, okay. Okay. Burr, good question. I really like the question. Your answer, okay. The question, this is very important. The question says describe how you reduce waste at home. So the question is like the action doesn't need to happen at home. It can happen outside. But even if it happened outside, your goal is still to reduce waste at home. So your answer is acceptable because even if you have to go out of the house to put those extra clothes that you don't need anymore and donated them into the bins, right? Because I know you had to leave home. That is an acceptable answer because the goal of you doing that is reducing waste at home. Okay, so the most important thing is always like be mindful of how you understand the question. So good for you for clarifying. Okay. Now, hello Ozil. Yes. Okay, welcome to you. Hi, I'm Sekfer. Hello, Kaylin. Welcome. So I know that some of your secondary students here, and you can see that it's a PSLE oral discussion here. Do feel free to stay. These points that you can see are things that you can use as well for your O-level orals. So no problem, right? Yes, welcome to you, Kaylin. So now we have gone through 3 Rs. What else? And someone also said upcycling. But most importantly, do remember so that you make sure that you have more answers, right? What are the different ways that you can actually reduce? Because there are food wastes, correct? So my example earlier about making sure I make a meal plan, because meal plan would mean to say I buy only the grocery items that I need. So it leads to lesser food waste. There could be all other ways. So like Burr also explained about donating, right? So what could be that waste? Like excess items could be clothes, right? That's another form of waste. Could be clothes, could be clothing. So it doesn't have to be food. Some waste are both biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Okay, items could be house furnitures. Okay, or it could be like what other things do you have at home? Okay, what other ways can you talk about at home? I think technology will come out for day one. Kaylin, e-waste, very good. And speaking of e-waste, there are also e-waste bins all around Singapore where you can actually properly dispose of your e-waste. What are e-waste? You know, batteries, okay, wires, all those things, right? Clothing, house furniture is e-waste. Any other waste items that you can think about? Kaylin, technology is an evergreen topic. I would agree. There's a it's highly likely the possibility of it coming out in the examination is really high. Is really high. So I will probably consider talking about technology in our next in my live session. Oh my God, it's already on Monday, right? All the best for you, Kaylin, by the way. All the best for you. Technology is a highly likely topic. Floor, what questions can be asked about technology? Oh my goodness, there's a lot of I'll show you a few questions that you can explore with technology that you can prepare 4. Okay, let me finish this question and then I'll jump to that if you're all very interested in technology. Okay, so reduce waste. Think about the possible waste and then choose which one can you actually focus if you want to focus on one, and then talk about the different ways that you can talk about it. Also, you can talk about more other other things. I guess volunteering will come up. Okay, let's talk about that now. So we're done with this question. What I can talk to you about now, because now that we're here, um, let's talk about what are the possible things that may come out for your examination. I would agree with technology. Okay. I would also agree. I'll give you 6, right? I'll give you 6, and then at least over the weekend, make sure that you prepare good personal experiences on these topics, and then if you can, have a few statistics that would help support your points on this. Um, Cultural heritage, yeah, that could be challenging. So technology is there. I would say what Ozil mentioned, kindness and community, mhm, is also there. Okay, what do I mean by that, right? I'll tell you what I mean. I'll tell you the 6 first. I'll tell you the 6, and then I'll tell you what I mean. Why am I grouping it this way? Okay. I have here an actual list. Okay, so there's technology, there's kindness and community, and the one that we just talked about, environment, is never gonna go away. Environment. And then for me, there's also family and friends. Then there's also sports and health. You can take note of this or take a screenshot if you want. And I would say last one would also be Singapore and culture. Okay. Now, how do you go about being smart about your revision this time? Because I know you've probably been revising quite a lot. A few things. Go into these themes. Prepare statistics. Build your content knowledge very quickly. Prepare personal experiences on these things. Don't go crazy on the personal experiences. There are times when one personal experience can be tweaked to fit many different themes. So, for example, like you have a very good, I have a student, he keeps repeating this personal experience. You have a personal experience about a family activity, biking, for example, at East Coast Park. You can detail it out very nicely. That one you can use for an environment related question, but you can also use it for a family related question. Okay, but of course you have to tweak some parts to angle it correctly depending on the theme that you're using. But these personal experiences can definitely help you when you want to strengthen the points that you have. Okay, so technology, kindness, community, environment, family and friends, sports and health, Singapore and culture. Now, oh my God, one by one, everyone. I know we're doing a lot. Okay, I'm gonna go through this stuff. The last 7 minutes, let me go through the important things that I want you to try and focus on when it comes to over the weekend before your examination starts next week. So I'll start with plan response. Okay. So take note of this. 6 commonly tested themes. Prepare them. Okay. Now, you ask about plan response, correct? Now, very quickly, number 1 is roughly gauge how you want to use your 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes, break it down. Now, at most, I would perhaps say, have you planned how many times you want to watch the video? Okay, perhaps watch the video maximum, let's go for twice. Okay, first to just catch all the generic information, make sure you have the question and the prompt with you already. And then the second is pay much closer attention to like details that you may have missed out the first time, correct? So 10 minutes. Next is after watching it perhaps twice, then you can proceed to write your response. But, this one very important. Number 1 is follow a structure. And number 2, shortcuts.
I mean, meaning to say, save so much of your time by making sure you know how to shortcut commonly used words. So when you're writing, no one is going to mark your paper. No one is going to mark your paper. You'll only be graded with what you say. So don't write in very neat. Still can something that you can still read, but follow a structure so you can easily. So for example, my it's an argumentative question, so I'm gonna follow the scare structure. Statement, counter argument, rebuttal, and ending. Okay. Then when you write your points, write in short form. So instead of saying therefore, oh therefore, I mean the ending, therefore, then choose the three dots, right? Instead of writing the, even shortening the word the, like the is always repeated, right? Find a shorter way to say it. Okay. So that's what I say when I say learn a shortcut of some of the words. So you don't need to write them. Okay. And then waste so much of your time. Now, once you plan your response, I need you to spend the last 2 minutes to practice it. Practice it verbally. You don't need to scream, but practice it with your mouth. Make sure you can hear it. Okay. So practice it with your mouth, run through it once or twice if you can, but make the most of your 10 minutes. Okay. It's better that you do it under time conditions this time. So number one, practice under, you're already very near the examination. So it's good that you somehow really, because remember, you don't have a timer. Do you know that? I've recently spoken to, what do you call this? I've recently spoken to Royston, who took the O levels last year. You will, however, know how much time is left. Okay, but practice under time conditions, so at least you have a gauge. Like usually, I talk this long, and I managed to use up my 2 minutes. Okay, then and the last thing I want to happen is that you only spoke for 30 seconds, right? So practice under time condition. Say you answer, check the timer, like, oh, I spoke for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Maybe I should get more, I can say more points. Then again, say it again until you reach roughly 2 minutes. Okay? Time condition. And then finally, for planned response, I think the most important thing is I will emphasize structure again. This one is commonly tested themes. Focus on reminding commonly tested themes. Then this one will connect back to your spoken interaction. This is a tip that agrees with both planned response and spoken interaction. Remember to go with your commonly tested themes. Okay. Same thing, both planned response and spoken interaction. Make sure that you follow a structure when you say something. So it's just easier. You're lucky with planned response, you have a paper to look at. But of course, don't just stare at your paper. Okay, your posture, your voice projection will make a lot of difference. Remember what I always tell my students when it comes to oral examination, right, is that there's a psychological part of the way your confidence shows. When you're so confident, right, it does somehow makes you more believable. Even if you're unsure, right? Just say it that you're so sure, like you're so sure. It does help the examiner, like, oh wow, this is a very good. So think about two things. Some of you worry too much on the content. Think about both. There's content and there's also delivery. Okay, content, delivery. Deliver it with confidence. Prepare content by making sure you have prepared content, knowledge, and commonly tested themes and personal experiences. But both content and delivery goes together. You have to deliver it with all the confidence that you have, with the best posture, with open gestures. Don't use closed gestures. Don't use closed gestures. Open gestures. Okay? Apparently looks important. But last year, I didn't really have much to say about the video. Okay, Kaylin, I'm going to say one last thing about that before I go and end the live. Now, when it comes to the usual problem about, most of the time, sure, I have nothing to say about it. Okay? It's really, sometimes it's not because you really have nothing to say about it. It's mostly just because you need a technique to allow your brain to start thinking of, to start arranging your thoughts. So a good solution to when you feel like you have nothing to talk about it is number one,
make sure you follow a structure to present your answer. Response framework. Oh, I follow trees, I follow peel, I follow scare. The response structure will help to push you what to say next. So for example, if my structure is scare, for example, oh, I know I have to start with my statement, with my main points. And then, oh, I know that the next one I have to say a counter argument, right? Then I know the next one I have to say a rebuttal. So sometimes even it's so hard to think about it, at least you know what you're supposed to say next. Then the next thing that could help you when you have nothing to say is, that's what I just really said, prepare good personal experiences for these commonly tested themes. You can prepare for an oral exam. Learn the commonly tested themes, prepare statistics about them, prepare personal experiences about them. And then the last thing is, especially this one is very important, when you practice, you have to talk. Some of you just go and read. I have notes, I have statistics, and then read. It is important that the examination is oral, the practice has to be oral as well. Okay, because the oral skill is a skill that allows you to talk and think while talking. You can only develop that skill to continue thinking while talking if you practice that way. You have to also say out loud and practice continuing your response. Okay, because it's very hard. It's very hard to just, I made sure that I wrote all my answer. It's not gonna happen. You're not gonna write your answer for spoken interaction, right? In order to develop the skill of talking and thinking while talking and thinking what to say next while saying your previous point is only when you actually say it out loud. So do it. If you're too shy, do it with yourself, record yourself, face the mirror. If you can, do it with a friend. Evaluate each other, because there's some quirks or like some movements that you perhaps do that you never notice, but other people can. Like, oh, do you notice that you keep blinking your eye, right? Or do you notice that somehow you only move one hand? Or do you notice that you don't move your hand at all? It's very hard to spot these things, unless, of course, you have someone trusted who's with you, who can honestly tell you and nicely on the things that you have to improve on. Okay, so I think that's what I have for now. Oh my God. Please, if you have the time, join me on my live session on next week and tell me about how your examination went. Okay, but all the best. Make the most of your time. But please make sure to remember, rest is part of the process. If your brain is too tired on the day of the examination, all those efforts of revisions are gone. So get enough sleep, get good, eat good food, but make sure that you revise and rest equally. Okay, so yes, thank you so much for joining my live session today. All the best for your O levels examination next week. Oh my God. Yes, I'm sure you'll make it. Ozil, ha? Be strong. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, and goodbye.